Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the April Town Hall. First thing I'd like to say is I've missed you all. I regret that I wasn't able to do the Town Hall last month, and I realize we're kind of crowded in here, but there's a few more seats down front if you'd like to come on down. That way we can see each other more clearly. I have a lot. Today is really more of an update day than it is anything else. But I wanted to talk about the Water Authority first. In our research of the Water Authority, and some of this I've already talked about, but we did some more research, and what it comes down to is that, in truth, as the law currently stands, we are not legally able to become a water authority. That being said, we were told that we could go back to legislation and possibly have that law amended. And then once that's amended, we could come back and request to be a water authority. We're now 3 to 4 years out. By that time, it has pretty much no value to us anyway. So we are definitely, I should say, I don't want to leave any ambiguity there. We're not going to do the water authority at this point. There's no way to effectively get it done in a timely fashion that would benefit the community. The next thing we want to talk about here, I'm supposed to be doing slides, I think. Yeah, next thing we want to talk about, and I know you can't read this, so bear with me. One of the things I did was I had this put in a PowerPoint presentation so that after this, you could go online, and I put everything in the presentation so you can easily find it without having to go wade through the web page to find these things. Several people have brought it up to me this last month about getting access to documents and what the process is. Based on who we are and what we are, meaning a nonprofit, and when you get a chance to look at this, it's going to be in this area. These are the laws in terms of documentation that we are governed by. The most important one is the nonprofit regulations. And basically, we also have our declaration, which gives us some guidance. The POA is not really straddled with a lot of requirements. Many people think that because we are a POA that we are and we have the governmental laws affecting us, that we have to do the same things that, say, the county has to do or the state senators and those groups have to do. We don't. And what we've done is I've put together a list for you. This is the rest of that document. This document explains our policies, how they affect you, who you can go to ask questions, and how it is taken care of. Let's see, there we go. I put together a list of documents that are currently online, and you'll see the area that's yellow, and when you have a chance to look at this closer and can actually read it, these are all the ones that are online and available to you and are updated all the time. Things like our audits and financials and all those things. Now, one of the things that we're all trying to do is to make them more easily accessible. What that means is easy to find. They're on the web, they can be reviewed, people can find them, but very often there are some concerns about where they are and why they're there and why aren't they over in that area. And so we're trying to really improve that, but I wanted you all to see an answer to this question. Here's all the different kinds of documents that you can get, and I'm fairly certain you can't read that from back there, but anyway, that's why I put it in here. And the yellow, anything in yellow, are items that you have immediate access to on the web. And this is just, this is just the form that you have to fill out to request documents that aren't up there, that aren't online. And you fill those out, and it comes to my office, and I review it and approve it, or not, and have a discussion with you about it, and either provide you with those documents or reasons why I cannot. Most of our contracts are not open to the public, especially when they're in the process of being negotiated. Most of the people who we have contracts require that they be secure and private and not open to the public until they are completed. And even then, we very seldom share those, but they can be reviewed if asked. And most of our committees In fact, all of the committees who are involved with whatever project we're working on would have access to those contracts before they're approved, to include the board, of course. Okay, some fun stuff. I don't know how clear this is for you, but I wanted to show you, we're now down to, oops, I jumped ahead, sorry. Trash, let's talk trash. The trash contract, we finally negotiated it, and all of you may or may not have read the emails that went out, but your trash has been reduced to $23 a month. And that's $2 less. I realize everybody's going, yay. But the $2, as it applies to the entire community, is actually about 120 grand. So it was a significant reduction in terms of what the entire community is paying for trash. We have changed the schedule of how and when they pick up, and I know that has caused some confusion. However, the benefit of that is they will be more consistent in when they pick it up and the flow, and that was really the reason why we changed it. They weren't, for lack of a better way of describing it, starting at one end of the community and going this way through the week. They were doing this part of the community, and then that part, and then that part over there, and then that part over there. And so the possibilities of them missing people was astronomical. It's ridiculous. And by changing this, they've got a flow now, and people theoretically aren't getting missed as much. We've gotten a lot of feedback about that fact. One of the struggles is they're now picking it up on time, so you can't put out your trash can anytime during that day because they'll miss it. But the good news is they are picking up in the morning, and so far have been relatively on time. We have a hotline set up. Caitlin in our office is, if you call the office and ask for her, she is the person who is taking the questions and complaints, and she has a direct line to Republic to ferret out these problems and these questions. Somebody misses something, or an area didn't get picked up. All of those things. I also want to reiterate for those of you who are in some way handicapped or have the potential, meaning surgery or something of that nature, if you call Republic, they are more than willing, and I didn't bring this up, they reiterated this at the point of renewing the contract. They are more than willing for those people who call them to come down in, if you've got your garage open, grab the can, pull it up, dump it, and put it back. So I think for this community, that's a great option. And I don't think very many people take advantage of it. And it's a simple phone call. It's not like you got to go through a bunch of paperwork and all those things. You pick up the phone, you call them, you give them your address, they confirm that you're a person who gets trash from them, and you're done. So keep that in mind as we move forward. The contract also saves you in terms of the amount the POA has to pay for all our large cans and those kind of things. They also reduce those costs as well. So it turns out that it's going to be a good boom for us, and we're going to have to manage it. That's really what it comes down to. Pardon me. So now we'll get to the fun stuff, now that I've got over that. We are in the process of collecting bids to start, pardon me, the demolition of what is left of Tanasi. And the reason I have this map up here is to show you this is the area that we're talking about here. And this is the old clubhouse. This is where the cart barn and some of those things, the new one and all that is sitting here. We're hiring somebody to come in and demo this and to do grading so that there's not a lot of grading left over when we get to actually rebuilding Tanasi. The benefit of this, which is a side note, is that our insurance is paying for the demolition separately from our insurance policy. Wow. So the moral of that story is that this is extra money. This is not money that we are having to build into any budget for rebuilding and that sort of stuff. This was actually part of the process of the insurance and negotiated to where they will fund and pay for that entire process. Okay, let's see. I had one more thing here I wanted to talk about. I trust that everyone is enjoying all the new material that I continually give to Nextdoor. I want to be sure that they don't run out of topics, and I just want to be sure that everyone understands that and is happy about that. I would like to suggest that everyone carefully read that and advise yourselves and your neighbors as to what is fact and what is not. One of my concerns is in this community, in most communities I should say, that once a rumor gets started, it goes wild. And I have an anecdotal story to tell you, and I won't name names, but a particular homeowner here in the community put on Nextdoor that they were out on their dock one night and these lights came over their house and went down into the lake, and it was crazy and they didn't know what to do. Total lie, just to be clear, total lie. Within 15 minutes, 20 people had gotten on board and said they saw the same thing. Within a week, there was a whole line of information about aliens and Tellico Village. So bad that they finally took it down because they realized they'd started something that they couldn't control or take back. My point in telling that silly story is that all of you have to be concerned about facts. I do my level best to tell you the facts, and when I'm wrong, I do my level best to tell you so. And I can promise you that anytime I'm telling you something, I'm giving you the facts I have. Very often, not very often, once in a while, those facts either change or I just didn't get it right. And I'll tell you that. But I want to move forward with the hope that the community begins to believe that. Because that appears to be one of my largest struggles, is to get the community to believe that when I say something, I'm serious about it. And when I say I don't know, I really mean I don't know. And if I say I can't tell you, there's a good reason. So all of those things in mind, I throw that out, again, totally anecdotal. It's not, there's no, in this case, the only fact is that's a true story that somebody did fictitiously just to see what would happen. And it pretty much proved the application and its problems. Okay, what you got? We'll open up the floor for questions, please.
Chuck, Mike Robbins, thanks for having us here today. Chuck, there is some mass confusion in the village.
No, say it isn't so.
Yes, nothing to do with Nextdoor, and also some severe non-compliance issues with construction. Okay, this has been going on since I moved down here, and it started to rev up again in spring. I'd like to bring a few things up.
Wait, let me play, before you go farther, let me play Karnak the Magnificent. Those of you who are my age will know who I'm talking about. Builders working past 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Getting a lot of conversation and comments lately about this issue, and people actually don't know that it's 7 or 8 or 9. They just don't know the time.
And that's fair.
They don't know that it was moved down over the last winter or fall from 8 to 7. People
Correct.
realize that houses have to be built. People are making money. More people are moving in here, but they need a mental break from this at night, okay? Sundays usually is not a problem according to what I see or what I hear from people in the community. It seems to be the 7 o'clock issue. And, you know, the beeping and the trailer, the tractors, and they're doing the roof sometimes at 8:15 at night, which it's not gonna rain tonight on a given day, or it's not gonna rain tomorrow. So they didn't get permission to do this after 7 o'clock, and people are getting really irritated by this.
Sure.
So possible solution, it's not gonna have anything with overtime or more money. There's an A and B to this. Simply, if each inspector, code enforcement officer, can work 1 time a week, which is only 4 times a month out of 31 days, an hour later, or pull a shift an hour later until 8 o'clock. Now this has to do with Part B, which is called flex
Understood.
Some of these people, thank you, some of these individuals may want to take off on a Thursday or Friday at noon. They've got 4 hours of comp time, and they're gonna maybe come in for. Test, 1, 2.
I can hear him. Oh, you mean it's not going over the wire? Yeah, we're taping at this point. He's not being picked up.
Testing.
Thanks, Beth. Good catch.
Oh, test, 1, 2. Is it coming through? Okay. Did they hear what Chet had to say or no? Okay. Anyway, Chet, a possibility would be, in reference to flex time and comp time, somebody can come in for 2 hours, or maybe they're going to go to Food Lion with their wife and go shopping and say, hey, I got an hour of comp time, you want to come with me? Or maybe if it's 2 hours on a Sunday, they have to go pick up a truck, so the insurance is handled, they got to put a little vest on or whatever, then they go out in the truck for 2, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But after 7 o'clock, Chet, these workers know that nobody's around. They know. And if people politely stop by walking the dog or whatever they're doing and saying, hey, guys, you know, it's 7 o'clock and, you know, this is what the Blue Book, Tellico Village does. Rarity Bay doesn't do Sundays. They might say, oh, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to leave in 10 minutes. Okay, you go on and walk the dog. Maybe you go check back a half hour, 45 minutes later, they're all still there. They know the games, Chet. Now, this is a repeat of Spring Hill, Tennessee. Don Bright, the chief of police, is a personal friend of mine. We got the sergeants involved in this when the Del Webb was put up there, Southern Springs. We got 1 or 2 aldermen that got involved in this. They had to go in there, the sergeants had to go in there because the patrol people were on other calls and straighten all this up at Del Webb. But possibly the easiest thing would be, it's only 4 times a month, once a week, have each officer or code enforcement inspector in their zone work till 8 o'clock. 4 times isn't gonna hurt anything, it's not gonna create any more money. And who knows, Chet, maybe with comp time or flex time, somebody might want to take a day off. They may want to do paperwork on a Sunday and also go cruise around their certain sector. And if they catch 5 people at once, I almost forgot this, okay, you got a warning. If this is true, what I've been told is that, you know, if it keeps up, the first time's $500 to get your permit back, the second time's $1,000, the third time, they got to go into the ACC meeting. And, you know, some people might go, well, the builder doesn't know that this group or that group or this subcontractor is doing it. Chet, the builders need to watch what they're doing, what their schedules are, and who's working, and stay on this. That's no excuse.
Couldn't agree more.
Can we get the wheels going on this maybe so we can have these guys out till 8?
Well, I don't know about the guys out till 8 yet because I don't directly run Public Works. But in that the Director of Public Works is sitting in the audience, I'm sure he and I will have a conversation about it and see what we can work out with the ACC, because it is a problem, and you are correct in saying it's summer. It's going to start gearing up, and you'll have people working till 9 o'clock at night if they can get away with it.
That's true, and one of the board members recently brought up to me more people are going to be outside too.
Sure.
You know, and Chet, the interesting thing too is this is not, you don't hear people say, well, it doesn't really bother me. Or I never, ever hear, I don't care. Every time this comes up with a group, pickleball, private party at a house, whatever, everybody is bothered by this. And the people that hear about it, that don't know what time, they go like this. And by the way, sometimes I get, oh, Mike, by the way, when this is going on, should I call the sheriff's office for a noise complaint? No. Call the POA, find out in your neighborhood who your inspector is.
Correct.
All right, thank you, Chet.
No worries. So, go ahead. I'm just going to comment on that. I don't need anything else. I agree with the fact that the builders, because they aren't there and they're subcontractors like their roofers or like somebody pouring driveways or something of that nature, it's no excuse that they don't know that they work past 7 o'clock. The second thing, though, I want to remind everybody is we do have provisions that if somebody is going to pour concrete, if they get into a problem, a truck doesn't show up, concrete truck delivers late, all of those things, that they have and can ask to be able to work past 7 o'clock to get that poured. That should be a one-off, not every week. And so I will talk with Matt, and we'll see what we can figure out as the best way to handle that. But I have heard, regrettably, you're not the first today to talk to me about that. That's why I was being silly with you about, yeah, there's a lot of people who've called about that fact. And so we're going to have to take care of that, because accurately so, it's only going to get worse. It isn't going to get better. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have two questions. So I understand the water authority issue, but the problem with the water and sanitary problem doesn't go away. So what is the plan B for addressing our water pressure and infrastructure regarding that?
Excellent question. Currently, over the next 2 weeks, well, actually, that's a lie. We've been working on it for like 5 months, but we are putting together our final presentation, and we're going to work with the board and the finance committee and PSAC and our engineers, and we're coming up with a plan, what that's going to entail versus timing, costs, all of those things, and I will be presenting that to the community.
Okay. Then the second question is, with the Tenacity rebuild, is there a timeline for when we expect to get the bids back and start moving forward?
Valid point. I forgot that. So, right now, we should have the bids back for this demolition mid-May, excuse me? For the demolition now. We're not talking about 1st of May. Okay. That's this part that I'm showing you. And once that comes back, we'll quickly pick the vendor, and there'll be bulldozers in the dirt probably by mid-May. Then at the same time, we're finishing up our final drawings for the building itself and the plans for all the land around it. That's going to be completed within the next week and a half to 2 weeks. That will immediately go out for bid, and we hope to have those back by, say, early June. June, is that right? And with that being said, again, bulldozers in the dirt by July 1st.
Okay, great, thank you. And how many construction companies are going to be
We
looking
went
at the
out
bid?
to 3 for the demolition. We went out to 8 for the actual build.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Four things. Compliments. The woodworkers area in the Public Works looks better than it has in quite a while. And the gentleman who did the last, what is it called? Loading the saw. He was excellent, and I hope he's there from now on, because he can really operate that thing well. Third thing, is there any news on the parking or the storage area? I saw the gate was open, at least I think it was a gate, and there's some empty spots. I'm just wondering whether there's going to be an additional possibility of putting something there, boat, RV, whatever.
I'll address that. Go ahead with your last question, and then I'll address it.
When you first came here, you and I talked, and one of the things that we found curious was that the billboards only showed golf. Well, that's gone. Now they only show pickleball. We do have a lake. We do have a golf course. We do have wellness center, etc. I'm just kind of curious why we keep concentrating on just one thing.
Well, the pickleball crowd does not believe that there's golf or lakes or anything else here. I'm sorry, they don't. They don't get it.
And don't care.
No, we're the theory is, and Beth can speak to this, the theory is that we're going to change out and show a different portion of the community as we go. And for years it was golf, you're correct. And now it's pickleball, and the hope is it will go to boats and we'll go to other things to show all the different variety of things we have here.
Okay.
But, I saw the same thing and laughed.
And the park area, the storage area?
Storage area, okay. Matt can stand up and slap me around if I say something goofy. We have been expanding that area out of attrition. We've needed dirt from an area over there near that, and so we're looking at widening that area, then resurfacing it with rock and pack it, and try and find ways to put better designation for slips to go in there, whether it's a boat or a RV, doesn't matter. And once we've completed that, it's kind of not a long-term process, but it's going to be over the year, then any available slots will come open, and we'll let everybody know about that. The whole goal is to ultimately clean up that area so it's easily defined. Right now, it's not even well defined. You just got a couple of RVs parked in different directions. We don't really have slips identified. I think there's little signs that says 29 or 27 or something on the back, but we're going to try and get that a lot more organized. There's another area, and this is one of my own personal pet peeves, I admit it freely. Matt looks at me like, we'll get to that. And is the area, if you're driving in, not where all the machines and sheds are, go back a little farther. There's an area out there that's got boats half on trailers and not on trailers and other kind of stuff out there. I'd like to see that area get cleaned up too as well. That area is a storage area that apparently doesn't cost as much. And, but I think all of that needs to be cleaned up and neatened up to where it looks like we actually know what we're doing.
Is there a waiting list on that yet?
Don't believe there's a waiting list, because I believe there's slips currently open in that area. Maybe not, but that's my understanding.
And one more.
Sure.
Is there a way to make people fold their cardboard when they put it in that recycling?
No. I could go on for hours, but the short answer is no. The people are going to do what they believe is something they have to do or they choose to do, and I can't enforce them to do that. I would hope that they would do that for the benefit of themselves and others, but no, I can't make people do that.
Can we say
Sorry.
your name first?
Tim Brindley, sorry, I'm back. So I had another question that I just thought of. Before the Tanasi fire, there was plans at the Tanasi Golf Course for a 9-hole reversible executive and also a driving range. And obviously with the fire, that's been put on hold. Is there any plans to look into proceeding with those two projects?
The project for the executive golf probably, well, it's not on the agenda as we speak. It was talked about, but it's definitely not on the agenda. The driving range has been brought up by a multitude of people. Lots of people want it. Right now, we're still working on our budget. So at this point, I can't answer that question other than a lot of people want it, and it's definitely it's past the planning stages. I mean, we have drawings, we have the ability to go out and get bids if we choose to do that. It's just whether we can afford to do it or not.
Okay. And at the Wellness Center, there was something a while back about, I don't know if it was Tennessee Orthopedics or something, was going to
Yes,
building
TLC.
on.
No, well, that's not us, that's them. We were going to allow them to add on to, if you're looking at the Wellness Center, it would be on the right-hand side where the gym is now and all the equipment, all that, it will be on that side. Allow them to build an office there with some facilities. And they determined that because of interest and not particularly what we were charging them, but what the bank would charge them and how much it would cost them to build it, it just wasn't financially feasible for them at this time.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You bet.
Good afternoon, Chet Lair, Rollout.
Good afternoon.
In the past, you've talked about a couple things related to our community traffic. And you talked about roundabouts?
Yes.
And you talked about signage.
Yes.
Can you brief us on what the progress or lack of progress is on those two items?
Well, tell me what you mean by signage, because I got like multiple issues on signs here.
You talked about the community signs, the neighborhood
Okay,
signs.
now I'm with you. Yep,
Thank
I got it. The roundabouts are driven by the state. Now, we are about to install a new committee called the Road Committee, and they will be dealing with all of the roads that are unique to Tellico Village that are public roads, that are not, that we don't own them, like 444 and some of these others. And they're going to be looking at kind of staying on TDOT's back to manage where we are and how these things are going to progress. Because right now we have approval for a stoplight at 72, a roundabout at Mialacqua, and I can never remember the name of the other road, where you turn into Food Line. And then we have another roundabout that's been approved but not funded for right at where you turn on Sequoia and Maple Hill. So that's what's on the docket right now. And they're going to be chasing those to see what they can do, to keep an eye on those. Now, all of the things I just told you, TDOT has already published. That's not me just, that's not inside baseball. That's something they've published. What we're trying to do is get a hold of them and get them to commit to a time frame, because if nobody squeaks, the wheel doesn't get greased. In terms of the signs, as you have already noticed, we are in the process of changing the individual signs for the different communities, upgrading them, giving them a different look. And I know it's a personal opinion. I think they look really good. And we've had to make some changes to them and some adjustments to them of how they look and what you see from them, like the bird and some other things. But I think it's a much better and more updated look, and you can't put your finger through them. They're actually pretty solid and will stay in place. But again, yeah, that's an ongoing project, and we're going to work our way through the community. We're not done by any shade of the imagination, and some of it takes time and organization. And our biggest thing is we really want to get the community involved in helping to maintain these and to have a say in a place and how it goes. And Beth is working directly with the Garden Club and some other groups there to try and facilitate that so that we keep this moving forward and in the right direction.
Hi, Chad. I'm Bob Prazak. Quick question. One of the goals of the Water Authority was to get us access to grants and loans.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody looking into seeing if we can form some type of partnership with Loudon Utilities to see if we can get access to grants and loans? Because if we go on things our own, we're not going to have that, right?
Sure. So there's a bunch of things. Right now, we already have somebody in Loudon who we work with in terms of grants. Now, they aren't looking for us specifically. It's just that happens to be the person we have to go through. Our goal is to look at how can we access grants that are not just the typical stuff. There's a farmland group that has grants. There's all kinds of other areas to go looking for money. And many of them we can't get to other than partnership. We're looking at partnering with TRDA for some of those grants. We're looking at partnering with the folks in Monroe County for some needs in Kahiti. So it's an ongoing process, is that we see the need and we're chasing that. Now, we don't have a specific person yet, but once we understand what our progress is going to be on water and sewer, that will be an absolute force.
Thank you.
You bet. Wow. Either I'm really answering a lot more questions than I thought I was, or I'm just boring you to tears. All right, well, if that's it, man, I am happy to have you here today. I'm happy you took the time to come out. If there's any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them, and thank you for coming.